Hey, welcome back to the Pin Man. Today we're going to be taking a look at and comparing these two pins, and this is the Jinhao X159 and the Jinhao 9016. And these pins, I wanted to do a comparison. I compared the X159 with the 9019, I believe, and with the regular Jinhao 159. But the 9019 was a little bit bigger than this one. The 9016 is a little bit smaller than the X159. So I thought it would be a good comparison because for some people that 9019, the Jinhao 9019, is going to be maybe a little bit too big. And so the X159 would come in next, and it's pretty nice size. The 9016, Jinhao 9016, isn't much smaller, but there is definitely a difference. So let's go through these two pins and try to figure out which one might be a better fit for you. Okay, let's start with the price. They're very comparable in price. The X159 I've seen retail from anywhere from $7 to $12, and that may depend on the nib that you're getting and whether it be a fine or medium. Sometimes they charge more for a medium nib. I don't know why they do that, and then the 9016 is $6, so they're right about there in the same price range. Now, when I bought my X159, they only came in fine at the time, so that's what this pin, I'll be demonstrating it. This is a fine nib. But it's a number 8 size nib and a fine tip. The 9016 comes with a number 6 nib, and this one happens to be a medium. The X159 is now available. You can find it extra fine, fine, and medium. The materials are the same. They're both acrylic mostly, and then they have gold-plated brass accents. They both take a threaded cap, and let's see how many rotations. The X159 is 1, 2 and a quarter. The 9016 is 1, 2 and 3/4. Okay, so another half turn to get the cap off of the 9016, and anything over 2 turns, in my opinion, gets a little uncomfortable, I guess you could say. Now, I use a pin stand, so I'm just resting the body of my pin in the cap as the cap rests in the pin stand. So that really doesn't bother me too much, but I know a lot of people it will, especially if you post. The caps are both washer style. The 9016 has this ball clip. It has it's a lot of tension on that. Has that pilot shaped ball clip, and then it also has Jinhao on the upper part of the clip. The X159 is a very simple clip, nothing fancy about it at all, and a little less tension, but plenty of tension to be usable. Both clips are very usable. As far as filling mechanisms, the X159 takes a standard international cartridge and converter. Then the 9016 has this humongo screw-in converter. I mean, the thing is big, but notice the port on that. It is standard international, so you can use standard international cartridges and converters in this, and they don't wiggle around a ton. You know, you're going to be protected by the body there, but they will fit in there. So that's, man, how's that for an option? The 9019 also had a real big, a very large converter to it, and I think that is just great. Hopefully Jinhao will do an update on its X159, maybe call it Z159, I don't know, and make it to where they can use these large converters. Oops, putting that back in there. But you'll notice, I think the way they got away with doing that is, so I would have kept all this out, but if you'll notice the thickness of the walls there, and they're, I think the outside circumference on the X159 is just a tad bit more, but so they have room to make this be able to fit, make it to where one of these big humongo converters would be able to fit in it. Try to get all the right parts and the right pin, but this is, again, it's a screw-in converter, and I don't know off the top of my head the quantity of ink, but this thing does hold a lot of ink. Will these two pins post? They will, and they will post securely. The 9016 is not back-weighted hardly at all. It's got a good balance right here. So even though you get that metal clip up there, but you know, most of it's acrylic except for the clip and the inner parts of the clip. But yeah, not back-weighted much at all. The X159 posts securely, but it feels a little bit more back-weighted. But it's not uncomfortably so, like a metal cap would be. The sizes of these pins, you'll see that the X159 is definitely a little bit longer. You'll see capped is 148 to 141 millimeters, and so 7 millimeters bigger, longer. And then uncapped, and a lot of this is somewhat of the nib too, uncapped from nib tip to body finial, you have 130 millimeters for the X159 and 123 millimeters for the 9016. So again, another 7 millimeters difference. Posted, this would be 162, and the X159 would be 162 millimeters, and the 9016 would be 157 millimeters. So again, shorter. The body girth on the X159 is 14.5 millimeters, and on the 9016 it's 13 millimeters. So you can definitely tell a little difference in the girth, but not too much. You know, you got 1.5 millimeters, so that's noticeable, but not overly so. The grip length on both of these pins is very similar. The 9016, now this is not counting the threaded portion. The 9016 is 16 millimeters, and the X159 is 15 millimeters. The girth of these grips, again, is similar, but again, the X159 is a little wider, at 12.5 millimeters. That's at the middle part. There's not much taper, if any at all, on these grips. So 12.5 for the X159 and 12 for the 9016. So not too bad. Overall weight of each one of these pins, so capped or posted, is 28 grams for the X159 and 22 grams for the 9016, and uncapped, good grief, it is 18 grams for the X159, and for the 9016 we have 13 grams, so 18 and 13. So there's a 5 gram difference, and you can tell that a little bit there. So both of these pins, I like them both. They both have enough girth. The X159, if you're used to thinner pins, is going to seem a little girthier, but yeah, I like it. I don't know. It's nice and comfortable. It's wide enough, so if you really like these girthier pins, then the X159 is a great pin to get. If you don't want them necessarily as big as the 9016, this is a tremendous medium for medium size for people that like a little bit of girth. It's lightweight, has a great price, and as far as colors, the X159 comes in 8 colors. All of them have gold trim and all are opaque. So there's no transparent versions of the X159. The 9016, I really like this pen in that it does have some girth. It may be a little small on for the length for some people with larger hands. I mean, I think you might be somewhat pushing it, but you know, it still has some girth to it. So again, if the X159 is a little bit too much, step down to the 9016, and I think that should work for you if you like that a little more in your hand. So it's nice medium size, nice weight, not too girthy, but not too slim. And you got to love that large capacity converter. So, you know, you're going to have long writing sessions, whatever. The amount of ink that this thing holds is going to take you a long while. But another benefit is that it does take standard international cartridges and converters. As far as colors, there's 10 colors that the 9016 comes in, and all again are gold trim, but the 9016 has 4 that are a transparent, 4 colors that are transparent, and 6 colors that are opaque. So you have a little more variety on the colors and availability of between transparent and opaque with the 9016 than you do with the X159. I know holding them in your hand, just like any pen, especially if you have a larger nib, your angle of writing is going to be more, it's going to be greater than a shorter pen with a smaller nib. And, you know, this is not necessarily a small nib, it's number 6, but at least it's not a number 5, right? So your angle is a bit less with, I don't know how to, maybe I should say the angle is a bit more. If you're going this way, yeah, you are going to have more of an angle. It's going to be more upright because it's shorter distance, and so to put nib tip to paper, that's what you're going to be having to do. You're going to have to write a little bit steeper, whereas this one, you're not coming up quite as far to get your writing time. Okay, how about a writing sample for both of these fine writing pens? Jinhao X159. This is a fine nib. I'm using Rhodia paper, and the ink is Jinhao X159. For a fine nib, it is smooth and it's not overly fine. It is smooth in all directions. I'm dip testing this, but anyway, as far as wetness, it's kind of dry, but let's see. And then as far as reverse writing, does a good job and keeps up. So either way, it's no either orientation, right side up, or reverse writing. There's no hard starts, no skips. Not a lot of line variation, but you can get greater ink saturation when you apply a little more pressure there. Alrighty. Now we have the Jinhao 9016, and this is a medium nib. Again, Jinhao X159. No hard starts, no skips. Smooth in all directions. Tad bit of feedback, a little more feedback on the upstroke, but you know, I'm just kind of sloppily doing that, so. There's wetness. Because it's a medium, you're going to get more wet, and I just dipped it too. So reverse writing, does an excellent job. There too, it keeps up. The 9016 medium nib has a very smooth reverse writing. And again, no real line variation, but you can get more saturated. I'm going to try this X159. Yeah, it's pretty smooth on the reverse writing as well. I really like the fact that, I'll try that wetness again. Yeah. I really like it when a pen will write well in its reverse writing. So yeah, both of these, obviously there's more saturation, bolder lines with the medium nib, but the fine nib, I'm not a fan of fine nibs, as you probably already know, but I do believe that it did a good job, and I could use this fine nib and enjoy riding with it. It's not scratchy, it's very smooth, fine, but I do prefer the medium as you get a little more saturated. I like if I'm gonna use a saturated ink, I want it to look saturated. So the medium, the 9016 does that well. Okay, again, for some final thoughts, be right back. All right, for final thoughts, what do I like? And I'm not going to do the like and dislike and all that, because I like both of these pens just fine. Again, and I kind of already went over some of this, so I'm going to wrap it up. But, you know, if you like a lightweight pen, both of these fit the bill. Both of these post fine with very little to no back weight. They're great price. The 9016, if you like a little bit of girth but not too much, you know, not a lot of girth, and the 9016 is good for that. And then the X159 is good for if you like some girth in your pens. You know, you start getting to the body girth around 14 millimeters. That's, you know, that's feeling pretty girthy. I mean, 13 is good, but 14, it's more noticeable. And then the grip sections are both, you know, around 12, 12.5 and 12 millimeters. So they're about the same. So these pens are good. All around pens. They're smooth riders. They're a great price. I think you would enjoy either one of these, but I've gone over some of the differences. And so if you like less girth, go with the 9016. If you like a little more, the X159. If you want more color variety, the 9016. All right, thanks for watching. Here's a couple of videos on each one of these, review videos on each one of these pens. All right, thanks a lot. You have a great day.